Hello, and welcome to the 12 Days of Tradmus. If you're new around here, my name is Kit, and Tradmus is a series I do in December where I talk about the harmful beliefs and ideas promoted by certain influencers, content creators, and so on. Basically, my normal content, but more of it and with a festive flair. And on the 12th day of Tradmus, we're having a look back at some of the comments I've received this year. So I was getting ready for the annual reading of the comments, and I was like, gosh, I don't want to be mean. I never want to make someone feel bad or anything. And then I asked myself, do these folks care about how they might make me feel with their comments? Especially the comments that focus on me and not what I actually said in the video in question? Do they care how their views affect the people around them? Doubtful. So if I mean, and I am going to have fun with this. If that offends you, well, please leave a comment and maybe you'll make it into next year's video. It's going to be a wild ride. You probably shouldn't drink. We have some doozies in here. So let's get into it. I'm going to pray for you, for every commenter, and for every person watching your videos. May the peace of God rest in your heart. May you meet the love of God and be overwhelmed by it. It is no coincidence that you make videos commenting on Christian beliefs. I hope with every video you are watching, you meet more and more the profound love of Jesus. He is waiting for you. He loves you. He knows you are searching for love and you are feeling lonely. He is waiting for you to give the love you want. You are in my prayers. Jesus loves you. I'm so puzzled by these sorts of comments. Do they think Christianity is so rare that the only time I encounter Christians is in my videos? I was confirmed into the Lutheran Church. I'm familiar with Jesus, as I would be willing to bet most Americans are. And if I wasn't, all this talk about submitting, dying to self, that wouldn't be what made me see the light. In fact, that's more likely to do the opposite. Though on that note, well, it's obvious that this information is for women of God. Why criticize someone for choosing this path? It's unnecessary and judgmental. Perhaps come up with some of your own content instead of piggybacking off of other people's. It's only derivative in nature. My 2 cents. First, welcome to Commentary YouTube. Second, please. Their content is not just for Christians, and any of these people would be thrilled if a non-believer watched their content and decided to come to Jesus. Third, stop pretending I'm criticizing people for being Christian. I don't care what religion someone chooses to believe in. Eleanor, you're being inappropriate. Excuse you, ma'am. Thank you. Okay. Don't bite me. Ow, I said don't bite me, brat. Anyway. Where was I? Yeah, I'll leave this in. Why not? Anyway, let's see. I don't care what religion someone chooses to believe in, but I do care when influencers decide to peddle harmful stuff, and hiding it under "it's my faith" doesn't give them a pass. So anyway, someone commented, "Enjoy the cats." How timely, on a recent video, and for some reason, when someone says "don't bite my foot," well, it's a little weird. Don't lick my foot either. Just chill, Ellie. Just be chill, yeah. So anyway, someone commented, "Enjoy the cats" on a recent video. They're swarming me. Oh no. Anyway, for some reason, when someone says something along those lines, that usually means they disagree with me in some way. And sure enough, they were commenting around my S.T. Williams video from, April, May? It was kind of weird, actually. It's clear you don't follow her. And women being the homemakers is not new. It has been this way since the dawn of times. What's new is feminism, which has proven extremely negative results in women's happiness and quality of life reports, as opposed to men's, which remained pretty much the same. Going back to Esty, her husband does sometimes help her, especially on the weekends, holidays, and he does all the gardening, takes out the trash, lifts heavy things, goes hunting, sets up and fixes stuff, goes grocery shopping with her, takes care of the grill, plus him working full-time a very demanding job to support his family. He spoils her with weekly flowers, tons of makeup, heels, beautiful dresses, stuff that I can't even afford as a single working woman, and he treats her like a princess. He stays in amazing amazing shape as well, which takes a lot of effort and time at the gym. He doesn't lay around doing nothing. I don't know what crap feminism sold you, but the only 20-something-year-olds who do nothing are today's youth, comfortably at home with their mommy and daddy using inflation as an excuse to live off their parents and act like children. Look at the happiness and quality of life reports for women of the 60s and 70s in the United States. They were the highest ever reported. Just look at them now. They are at one of their lowest points and have been going downhill ever since the popularization of feminism. Men's happiness reports have remained pretty stable. It's women becoming unhappier every year, yet you have been so brainwashed by feminism that you won't see it. Go find out what the point of your life is, sweetie. Esty is a beautiful person who has an amazing husband who treats her like a princess. She is happier than you will ever be. You guys are so ignorant, you are a fanatic at this point. I follow Esty, and what this woman said is totally false. She didn't want to be an actress. It was her father who wanted that for her, and she was never convinced, but thought about it for a short while before never attempting it. She only studied meteorology because her mother was pushing her to start a career. She never wanted either life her parents were suggesting, but felt obligated to try because she was young and influential. She was only in the fitness industry because she wanted to be healthy and fit, and got caught up in the whole obsession over her body, which is to this day her biggest regret and her darkest moments. But what on earth does that have to do with pursuing a career or fame, lol? She was young, influential, and made mistakes just like any young person. Everybody around her was pressuring her to become a strong and independent woman when she did not want that for herself. I believe her message is beautiful, and every woman has the right to decide whether they want to be trad wives, stay-at-home moms, or strong and independent girl bosses. I thought feminism was about giving women the freedom to choose, not criticizing each other. Maybe that's Esty's burner account or something, but it's really weird to talk about someone you follow online as if you know them, and it's creepy to list things the husband does in such detail. And honestly, if her husband really does those things, that's great, but it doesn't change the fact that she's proudly part of a movement that espouses harmful beliefs. And this is also really disrespectful. Esty herself posted a reel about all the careers she tried before deciding to be a trad wife, and this person just removes her agency and says that Esty only did those things not because she wanted to, but because she was influenced by others. And a few other things came to mind. They really like to hammer the idea that women were happier before feminism, but feminism was actually becoming popular and gaining political ground in the 60s and 70s. So perhaps that was why women rated themselves as happier back then. Or perhaps these happiness reports shouldn't be taken as gospel. For instance, if men's reported happiness has remained stable, why have male suicide rates increased over the years? I swear, sometimes it's like people don't think about things they want to use as some sort of gotcha. And if Esty doesn't want people criticizing her content, perhaps being an influencer isn't for her. Though, incidentally, she did mention that her New Year's goal is to invest more time into YouTube, and my belief that being a trad wife is more about a movement than actually being traditional gets stronger every day. Anyway, those comments were from the older Esty video, and when I looked at the other comments in the thread, I found this one. Really? You deleted my reply in which I politely disagreed with you? Says a lot about your echo chamber. Puzzled, I had to scroll through to find the comment I assume they disagreed with, which was my only comment in the thread, posted about 2 months before this commenter left theirs. I have no qualms about deleting certain comments, but it did occur to me that perhaps I should let everyone know that I don't get comment notifications, I do have certain filters set, YouTube has their own filters, and I don't typically go into old comment threads to see what people are saying months later. That being said, let's have a look at comments I do find delete worthy. And before doing so, I want to add that I do have guidelines on my channel, and there's pretty much only one. Be civil and respectful, disinformation won't be tolerated. Someone did ask once for what I consider disinformation. Behold. Gotta love that you say disinformation isn't tolerated while you spout an entire video of it. I, of course, asked what I said that was disinformation, and I have regrets.
1. Perpetrator violence is higher in female-on-female domestic relationships. Men are not the more violent perpetrators. They are just the most reported, which is why you cannot say that men are more violent perpetrators because we do not have those stats. 2. Reverence means having deep respect for someone or something. If you do not have deep respect for the partner in your relationship, then you should not be in the relationship. 3. Women don't usually manipulate men into thinking they are in charge. If you are in a relationship where a man is being a man, acting masculine, and a woman is being a woman, acting feminine, They are in charge. That is why you are the submissive as a woman. 4. Roles are strict because we are men and women. Vagina and penis. 2 very different people. The majority of men do not like masculine women. 5. Submission just means ready to conform to the authority or will of others. Submission looks like respecting your husband's point of view. It means humbly sharing your opinion with him. It means not invalidating him, especially in front of others. It means trusting his decision as a leader while feeling empowered to give your own point of view. Feminists spin this narrative of a submissive woman being a slave, and it's just not right. Please, before doing a video, do research. I can understand if this is just you spitting your opinion, but you're claiming not to be spitting misinformation. And you very much are. This is your personal opinion based on your years of upbringing and experiences. This woman is using 5,000 years of fact-based proof that working together in traditional roles works better than what we are doing now. You're using less than a century of evidence that literally proves it doesn't work by the state of the dating market right now. This pointlessly feminist mindset is why we have MGTOW, Red Pill, incels, Andrew Tate, the manosphere, passport bros, seeking women outside Western feminism, pearly things, etc. Because men are sick and tired of women acting like men minus accountability, which is what feminism promotes. Men want women who act like women, so then women blame men for acting like misogynists for wanting a womanly woman. It makes no sense. I'm sorry, sweetie, but I just don't feel like you're the best one to be giving anyone advice in this field, especially calling yourself a cat lady spinster, taking down a happily married woman. It kind of makes you look silly. Like, here's what to do if you want to be single forever. Go feminism. Hashtag armpit shaving is for idiots. This is also why I find it funny that people call men's right advocates pick-me's, because really, you guys are skip-me's. I just don't understand the goal. Wasn't it supposed to be equality or something? Man, that got lost in translation.
You might think they wrote a lot, and yes, this seems to be a red pill thing, and I didn't even show all of it. Another red pill thing seems to be drawing conclusions from things said that weren't intended. For instance, if you're wondering why they're talking about male violence, it's because I wondered in the video what kind of man would want a submissive wife, and somehow they took that to mean that I think men in general are abusive, which is quite a leap. That's not all though. They also informed me that women got the right to work in 1890 and have been paid equally since 1920. Andrew Tate is a shitty human who makes shitty mistakes like everyone else, but he's not a misogynist. They followed this one up with, you can't just watch the news and then decide a guy rapes women upon the words of someone you don't know, and now I'm wondering if they know what misogyny is. But they also think Tate is being taken out of context. So, in all fairness, I brought this on myself. I commented on one of Rebecca Barrett's videos, and some folks wandered over to my channel. This person is one of them, and here's another one.
Genuinely asking, when has this channel ever made a video with someone they disagree with?
I responded, yes, this channel has. Why?
I'm curious, which ones?
And I asked, which ones? Like there's more than one? LOL. I have 1,000 subscribers.
1,000 followers is not a flex. I'm simply asking who you've had a debate with, and you haven't given one example. I was genuinely curious because I know you've turned down a few offers. Girl, bye.
I've noticed red pillars also tend to be defensive. Noting that I had 1,000 subscribers was a, my channel is too small to be bothered with, not a, I'm much too big for that sort of thing. And that this person took it as the latter is really weird. Also, I was not born yesterday. I know the reason they're so keen for me to debate someone is to hear their special red pill facts regurgitated with no response, thus confirming their worldview. Because there is no debating with red pillars. They make things up or misrepresent the studies they actually bother with to suit the beliefs they already hold and call it good. Just Pearly Things debate with Ethan Klein, for example. I thought Pearl did horribly, she had nothing to say, and what she did say, she couldn't find her sources. But her fans thought she did great, and those that couldn't say that decided that Ethan was acting in bad faith. And for anyone wondering about special red pill facts, if it's true that women shouldn't have to change or improve, evidently also implied here, then why should men change or improve? I'll ask it a different way with a practical example. A guy ranked an 8 out of 10 by 100 women, what does he get to expect? What standards does he get to have when vetting a potential spouse? What doesn't make sense is selling men the self-improvement narrative when it's actually a Sisyphean narrative women want to yoke men with. It's just about the money. Men make resources and women need it given to them or they'll die. For that, men are shamed. Wild. I told them that I'm not really sure how they got any of that from that video, but as a former employer of mine used to say, it's really very simple. If someone is a bad person, they should try to be a better person, and you should not date someone you don't like. You should not date someone who treats you badly. You should not rate adults. And then, we agree then on the basic principles if the goal is a committed relationship. If the goal for a man is just sex, then of course women seeking a relationship will continue to keep losing to alpha males, just as men looking for a relationship from women only seeking sex will also continue to lose. Hence why men should only marry virgins. But that's not most of what's happening. The majority of women freely date when they know full well they don't like the man. 1/3 of them admit to using men for foodie dates. I don't think it's much of a stretch to assume women marry men they don't like either, knowing they're planning the divorce for profit before the wedding. Considering people commit trillions in fraud annually and for on average only a few tens of thousands in gains, ACFE annual report. Except, who's investigating marriage frauds? No one. Meanwhile, we have whole professions of accounting, law concerned with someone taking $12 out of a cash register. We're not even identifying the real problem here. That's why the average marriage is only 7 years. It takes about that long for a liar to feel guilty enough to need to undo their own torture, so they file for divorce. 7 years also happens to be just enough time for some wealth to be generated in the marriage, but not so long as to ruin the female's ability to cash out and run the go again before her looks fade too much. Plus, she got her 1 or 2 kids, so the child payment annuities are coming in now for another 10 to 15 years, till she's about 38 to 45. Citation here is basic math of 7 years average marriage length plus average age of female first marriage, 28 equals 35, enough time to run the con 2 more times. If you ask enough men, you'll find they know women that have done this 3, 4, 5, 6 times. Just ask around. I know you like sources, so I'll cite all of the work from all criminologists on why people commit fraud. Marriage fraud is a thing, as my lawyer has confirmed. It's just very hard to prove. The risk of fraud always increases when you have these 3 conditions: unshareable financial pressure, opportunity, rationalization. Fraud triangle per ACFE. Women have all 3 of these dialed up to 11. The risk is elevated, but there's no certainty of fraud. Are there modest women out there? Maybe mine is the last one, I guess. But here is where the turd in the pool conjecture is valid. If only a small percent of the swimmers, daters in the dating pool, take a crap on others, everyone is affected. So I responded, noting that doesn't make any sense and that I have no doubt there are people who marry for money, but the idea that the average woman is out there plotting to divorce a man before they even marry and then planning to do so 3 or so more times to assure her financial future and having kids to ensure she gets more of his money. This led me to the natural question. So basically, you think women in general are sociopaths? I also noted that alimony is only given in 10% of divorce cases, with 3% of recipients being men. Women tend to be financially worse off than men after divorce. Divorce is not free, and the average person is planning to spend 21 or more if they continue running the con after 3 marriages, years of their life with someone they don't even like on the off chance to get some of their money. And the average person doesn't have the kind of money or assets to even be worried about being targeted for their money or assets. And then I noted that his name says MGTOW, but he's apparently in a relationship, and I asked if she knows what he thinks of women. His response: no, women are not sociopaths, and you know I am not saying that. Are you trying to poison the well here, or can we just have a chat normally? The sociopaths are the ones that plan the divorce before the wedding, which exists because I and other men have lived it. The only difference we have here is how much you think it happens versus I think it happens, how big an effect that has on other men, and the resulting actions men take because of it. I'm not saying most women do this. I will say it again, it only takes 3% of a large population to change in order to ruin the whole pool. As in GFC 2007, only an increase of 3% on foreclosures wrecked the whole world economy. You're also mixing apples and oranges, saying men don't have anything to take anyway. Not all men are getting married. Very few men are getting married annually, less than $500,000 a year if I recall correctly, an all-time low, and it declines every year. Don't you want to ask men why they don't want to marry, or just keep saying red pill is wrong and ignoring people's opinions of our own lived experiences? Would you even believe men if you asked them, or would you just value judge them according to your moral standards? Men don't marry on average until age 29 if I recall correctly, slightly older than the average woman. Both ages keep trending up as well due to financial pressures, fraud triangle again. They have and make what they have and make, as the ladies like to complain about constantly, so either men make and have more or we don't, please decide. So like what's his name said, I rob banks because that's where the money is. Women are getting what they can get from men, even through fraud. They plainly admit it. That survey of women said themselves they admit to using men for free food. Women use men for lots of things. It's fine, we all know it. Esther Villar wrote a whole book about it 60 years ago. She's a famous feminist, so I'm sure you've read the book, no? Anyway, you need to look at the average net worth of men who marry, or more correctly, the average net worth of couples that divorce compared to their net worths when they married, not the net worth of all men. Women can't get money from a man in a divorce without marrying him. So yeah, that's kinda necessary. Women also openly marry for money, or when they try to hide it, he has to be ambitious. Again, no shame in it. The point is, just because men don't have as much money as women would like them to have, sure they like to take more, that doesn't mean they don't take it. Again, your rejection of my argument makes no sense, as people steal a pen, a 25-cent item, from their employers all the time, so that the amount to be gained is small is irrelevant. About 5% of the GDP is stolen annually. It's very common. That's why I cited ACFE's report to you, so you can research the academics of fraud, see how pervasive it is, and better understand the underlying psychology of it as it applies in other areas of life. Suffice to say, people take things regardless of the value taken. People love a free lunch. We also know that the average millionaire in the US is married and over the age 55 or 60. Can't quite remember that age, but that's close enough for a comment section. As for myself, yes, my woman is nearly 30 years younger than me, and she's from a non-Western country. Not only does she know about these ideas, she's more demanding they're in place than I am. She holds herself to an incredibly high standard. She embarrasses other women with her modesty and work ethic daily. What I really don't understand, and this is me being honest, so if you answer, I am listening. The average woman is more desirable to the average man the younger, nicer, and more cooperative she is. And other factors, sure, people are individuals. So her ability to get a man she values highly by her own standards, her ability to do that goes down each year. And we know that the average millionaire is over 55 and is married. And we know women seek a man with means. They're not out here marrying homeless drunks by the millions. Given these variables, why is it that women still so often choose to divorce? Could it be because they get a little more than half from the divorce, and then they also get everything they make going forward, and they get the benefits of everything from the next guy until they get half of that too? I really fail to see how they're losing. They get half the current, all their future income, plus $1,000 per year per kid from him going forward, plus all of the new man's income. That's half plus 1/4, depending on how many kids, plus 1, versus the man gets half plus 1 minus the 1/4. How's that the men winning financially? And why can't women just pick better and stick with the guy and get to that 55+ millionaire status? Is it really that hard? How will you get a better man when you're older? I don't get it. I asked my ex-wife, why do you think you're going to find a better guy than me now that you're 43 and double the weight from when we met? She hung up on me. But I got a new wife in a couple years of looking, and she's half her age and less than half her weight. She's nicer, she isn't lazy, and she expects that if she misbehaves, I will leave her and keep the kids. Maybe you should have some red pill guests on and do a live. I'd watch that. I would suggest this person is a troll, but this is how conversations with most red pillars go. They reject studies and stats in favor of their experiences, or the fact that something, in this case fraud, exists, so why wouldn't it back up their claims? They're also major fans of gish galloping and changing the goalposts. How do you have a conversation, let alone a debate, with someone like that? On a lighter note, I want to talk about this comment I got on the Think Before You Sleep video from some months ago because it was so funny. He doesn't do research? Where are your sources? And my problem with feminism isn't my misogyny at work. Women not succeeding in male-dominated spaces like sports, for instance, isn't misogyny. It's that women and men have different skills and leanings. Just because their industry is dominated by women doesn't mean it's because women hate men. It's because men are, on average, less interested in that particular area, and them inserting themselves and demanding that they get the same results is stupid. It's the same for sports. More men watch sports, so more men are going to play, and logically, they get paid more than women in the same area. Women and men are not the same. We both have value in different areas. What pisses me off about feminists and red pill alpha males is that you see it as a competition to see who is superior. No one is superior, and stop fighting. I noted my sources are in the description as always, and that feminism isn't about who is superior. Their response? I'm sorry, but that isn't a source. It is very bad practice to cite fellow YouTuber content as a source. I'm not here to hate. If you want to convince people, then you should use primary sources. When you use other YouTubers, there's a load of problems like what if they aren't using sources themselves? What if their interpretation is wrong? That's why you make your own research and show the primary sources so that we can know how you got to that conclusion. You must be new to content creation, but your job is to convince people why your ideas are valid. If you don't have sources or explain your point of view well, then you're just affirming your fans' belief, and that's a slippery slope. For some reason, they deleted that comment. I'm just going to slide in a screenshot of how my sources in that video are laid out and have a bit of a giggle at someone who couldn't be arsed to click on more thought they would lecture me on content creation and the importance of citing your sources. I guess I was too thorough. All that being said, let's finish off with some normal comments. There is a difference between a trad wife and biblical trad wife, same for the husband. God is a major player in how we treat each other. We each have a moral obligation to each other that they willingly chose to take part in. The Bible tells us our roles, not society. That's the problem with feminists. They're completely disobedient to men, which means they're disobedient to our God the Father. Therefore, they will always have a problem with men and authority because they can't submit themselves to the God our Father, which is our first man of authority. It's true. I am a disobedient Jezebel, and that is why I'm against submission. I'm just trying to lead everyone to hell. Let's just stop bashing each other for the love of peace. Loki's life appears to be in a strong, happy marriage raising strong, happy children. So she wants to please her husband? Good for her. You are trying to make something out of nothing. Maybe you should focus on the cheating husband's wives or maybe the abusive wives' husbands. I can't tolerate your hatred of a woman trying to be caring to her husband. My hatred? Drawing it a bit strong, as I was only noting how the advice she gave in that video could be harmful, but apparently disagreeing with someone is hating and bashing them. The best way to dismantle someone's argument is to make the strongest case for why they're right and then counter it. You don't seem to really engage on any real level with what Matt Walsh and Pearl are saying. All the feminist content I see online makes the exact same mistake. It fails to address the terrible state of modern dating and the expectation on men to conform to traditional gender roles in a society where women are encouraged to rebel against traditional gender roles. I really enjoy how it reflects on me that Matt and Pearl didn't create a compelling point, so it's my job to create one for them and then refute it. And let's be honest, if I did do that, then I would have people telling me that's not how they meant it and I'm being disingenuous and on and on and on. And regarding dating, for some reason, a lot of people are interested in hearing me talk about dating, but I'm not a dating channel and feminism is not about dating. I'm also pretty sure that my dating advice is not what they would want to hear. Anyway, we'll end it on a common theme that I've noticed in general. I have some sympathy for the women's movement and feminism, but a lot of it is against men, so men naturally go right-wing. The American and European political left is openly hostile to men. I, of course, asked how the left and feminism is hostile to men. Some feminists are more hostile than others. Second-wave feminism was the most radical in that sense, regarding men as a homogenous group, a class that oppresses and benefits from the oppression of women. From this perspective, every man is a class enemy. Even if he tries to distance himself from any form of oppression, he is still suspicious because he benefits from patriarchy. A lot of these women from the second wave were lesbians, so that partially explains the misandry, but even though this particular brand of feminism isn't relevant today, the attitude towards men has remained the same. The concept of toxic masculinity is the latest construct which demonizes all masculinity because it only criticizes and offers no positive alternative, often overemphasizing the negative aspects of masculinity. But the right wing doesn't have any better ideas. Red pill, black pill, traditionalism, conservatism, all of it is also bad and superficial, one-dimensional. I responded noting that even if a man doesn't want to, they still do benefit from the oppression of women, but that doesn't mean it's his fault or that he relishes in it. And I noted that, yes, there were groups that broke off from second wave feminism, and interestingly, every one that I've looked into didn't last long. And also, feminism did not create toxic masculinity. That is actually from the mythopoetic men's movement. And the response? I don't see how I benefit from this supposed oppression of women. That is something, if it exists in the Western world at this point, that has nothing to do with me in any way. I don't participate in it and I don't benefit from it. There is an interesting parallel between trads and leftists. They both try to guilt trip people, but for different reasons. Trads for not being tried or trad enough, and leftists for the mistake of being born into a privileged class. Both are moralistic. I responded to his points and finished with noting that it's not a guilt trip, it's a simple statement of fact. As a white person, I benefit from white privilege. That does not mean my life has been smooth sailing, it just means that my life hasn't been made more difficult because I'm white. And their response? Just because women still face some difficulties doesn't mean that the patriarchy exists. If you live in America, you are not living in a patriarchal system. I'm not American, but I also don't live in a patriarchy, and we don't have the concept of white privilege, so I can't comment on that. But these terms are not just terms that are being used in social analysis. They have moralistic undertones and are also used to guilt trip people to work against their interests. It seems to me all this political language and concepts from both sides of the political spectrum are used to manipulate the individual into obeying some abstract notions and not their individual interests. So basically, you should look out for yours, and who cares what happens to other people? Also, if I haven't seen it or experienced it, it doesn't exist. This is both frightening and also frustrating, because I can show this person all the articles, all the books, anything, and they still wouldn't like it because it's moralistic. And I just can't imagine hearing about anything and just shrugging it off as, you're trying to trick me. I guess that works great in capitalism, but damn, that's cold. I would like to give an honorable mention to Manosphere President Anthony Johnson trying to send his minions after my channel on both his personal and professional accounts. I got more subscribers than weird comments from his efforts, but I think he uses his minions too well and not at all wisely. And for anyone who remembers, last year, Yogi Obes tried to get my videos on his content taken down with a privacy complaint. This year, he tried copyright. Yes, he did try to claim that a 17-second clip is the same as re-uploading his video. And that's a wrap on 2023. Cheers to more moralizing in 2024.